You know, I'm surprised that this didn't fall off. You see, this chair is very worn out, mainly the arm rest, so plops off like a condom, essentially. But that's okay. Holds on well enough. That's what she said. So, there's been some more updates in regards to 343 as of late. As I'm sure everyone knows by this point, Bonnie Ross has left 343, and there's a lot to say about that, which I'm going to get into later. But for now, let's focus on the news articles that I have up, or I'm about to have up on the screen for you all to see, because there's been some more news in regards to departures as of late, which, who the hell knows what's going to go on from here, but let's just get to reading this, because, oh my god, there's so much to say. Halo developer 343 reportedly loses engine lead just days after founder Bonnie Ross departs. So, the person in charge of the engine, which apparently is a total steaming pile of shit, which is an absolute mess to work with, and is probably one of the main reasons as to why the game gets such slow updates. It's just they try doing one thing, something else breaks elsewhere. That person said, fuck it. Left like Buggy's dad. His dad still hasn't come back. Poor bastard. 343 Industries, the developer behind Xbox's blockbuster Halo series, has reportedly lost another high-profile figure. Dave Berger, who served as a lead developer on Infinite's ambitious slipspace engine, which is actually just the old engine, but functions even worse, but looks slightly better, sort of like me, compared to last year. Technology will leave the studio, according to reports by Windows Central and Lords of Gaming. The gaming lords have spoken, ladies and gentlemen. News of the departure comes just days after after 343's boss Bonnie Ross, that rhymed, announced her own exit from the company after 15 years to attend to a family medical issue. There's no word yet on why Berger is leaving. Eurogamer has contacted Microsoft for more. In the wake of Ross's departure, Windows Central has reported on something of a reshuffle at 343, with production lead Pierre Hines becoming studio lead. Additionally, 2 new leadership-related roles have been created: General Manager of Franchise, which will be filled by Brian Koski, and Head of Business and Operation announced as Elizabeth Van Wyk. Halo Infinite Live Service remains in production despite various delays, with former Destiny developer Joseph Staten still serving as its creative director. The fact that it's stated as former Destiny developer and not Halo OG. OG, what's up in the Halo his house for real, you know what I mean? That really hurts me emotionally. And there's another article here, because I said there was multiple. There's a third one here. So, considering what I said, I felt I had to stay true to my words, hence there being multiple different tabs. Nothing else to say here, just more of what we just read, so yeah, I just did that for cool effect. So I could look like one of the cool kids at school. So what is there to say? Well, there's quite a bit to say, actually. For one, I just want to talk about Bonnie Ross, okay? Look, I have nothing against Bonnie Ross personally. At the end of the day, when it comes to all the shit I've talked about 343, although much of it has definitely been genuine criticism, at the same time, a lot of it is simply just me talking shit. None of it is personal. None of it has any ill will behind it. I'm simply just here fucking around. So whatever she has going on, I hope nothing but the best. But considering the timing of everything, it definitely leads me to being suspicious, and you see the sort of thing so many times when it comes to corporations and heads of corporations doing a leave of absence to avoid being fired, you know, being given the choice of being fired to avoid bad PR for the company and to avoid whoever that head is not being blacklisted in whatever industry they're a part of. In this instance, it's gaming, and it happened with Don Matrick, it happened with Blizzard last year with that company's CEO, so this is nothing new. But at the same time, I have heard a little bit, I do recall seeing something last year about something Bonnie had going on in regards to family and how she was going to end up leaving later this year anyways, and I imagine that everything going on with Infinite only accelerated that process. And I imagine that in the end she'll end up still getting a nice severance package anyways, because that's just how this sort of thing works. And if we're keeping it real, to act like it's just a medical reason, that comes off to me as willfully ignorant, naive, and just lacking an understanding of business and how things work, because this shit is just another day when it comes down to it. So although I imagine that there is some level of truth to the whole family emergency thing, which, again, I hope nothing but the best for Bonnie in regards to that. At the same time, considering the timing of everything, because the fact that the engine lead is also leaving now, I'm gonna have to say that it's probably a result of certain leads in their positions failing to properly do their jobs, and from there, they're now being put on a leave of absence. And again, I imagine that everyone involved in this reshuffling is going to get a nice severance package at the end of all this. So to those who keep saying, how dare you be happy that Bonnie's leaving? She has things going on and you need to be sad! Look, you can feel bad and be understanding of why she's leaving, but at the same time, as a fan, and if you're someone who has an understanding of business and how this sort of thing works, you can also be happy at the fact that she's leaving because of how bad of a job she has done. And if we're gonna go off of the whole 3 different positions now with 3 different people leading things, which, again, looking here at this article, you have Pierre Hines, who's going to become studio head. You have Brian Koski, who's going to become the general manager of the franchise. And then you're going to have Elizabeth, who's going to be the head of business and operations, which leads me to believe that Bonnie probably had way too much on her plate to handle all by herself. She was probably in a position where something I will say that she's done is, thanks to her, Halo is even still alive at this point. Without her, it would have been shuffled away and probably still would see the light of day like many other Microsoft IPs. So that's something she has to be given credit for. You know, I give credit where credit is due. But at the same time, considering that, I imagine it did lead to some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy and being able to take on the reins of the series and attempting to be the George Lucas of Halo, which is such an ambitious and over-the-top sort of goal to go for, considering circumstances, when not even your bosses have faith in this franchise, and to think that it's on a decline because, I mean, although it's for different reasons, the outcome is still the same regardless. That's something everyone can agree on, and even the head saw that, so that's gotta say something. But it sounds to me like she was a bit in over her head about it, and upon getting the franchise all to herself from there, tried finding ways to appeal to a broader audience, because they probably told her, look, you can take on the franchise, but in return, you gotta make sure that you make back as much money as possible, because, you know, we got investors, and the money, time's a ticket for that thing, so gotta make sure that shit's on point. Whatever you gotta do, make that shit happen. And that's probably what it's been for years, and most likely Halo 4 and 5 made more than enough income back, which is why they probably kept on. They probably thought, okay, everyone who's in their positions at 343 is doing well enough. We're gonna keep this shit, we're gonna keep the boat rowing. You know, we're gonna keep it going. Or in this case, ship going, because to say that Halo, well, I mean, it's definitely more of a boat than a ship now, but at one point it was a ship. It was even the Titanic until it sunk. And then it fucking drowned. And now they're trying to pull it back up before it crash lands all the way down to the very bottom of the sea. Welcome to the sea. And something to keep in mind, a lot of this is just me purely speculating. I'm talking out of my ass here. This is just what I feel went on behind the scenes. And as for the other faces, such as Kiki Wolf, Frank O'Connor, this isn't anything against Frank O'Connor. Again, nothing personal here. This is just me talking shit. But when it comes to Frank O'Connor being put in the place that he was given, it just felt like, it just gives off the impression of it just feels like it's a show where it's like, you know how you have like a corporation in a show who's thinking, okay, things are going to shit here at this corporation at Incorporated. We need someone to take on the reins, to take on the face of things in some way, because everyone's being fired left and right, and we're basically shit out of luck. Willis, you know someone?
How about that Frankie guy?
What, you mean the guy that once, boasted about how many players are active in Halo 2 and Xbox Live in 2004?
Yeah, that guy!
Oh, perfect! Bring him aboard! Surely he'll do something, I mean... What else we got?
Again, nothing personal. I just feel like that's sort of how it went. Just, well, you know, we gotta set someone up, because to me, it just doesn't feel like he was equipped for the position that he's in. Because you look at all the things that he said over the years, along with all the other faces of 343, and then you look at quotes such as how, after Halo 5, we're guaranteeing you, and it's a promise that couch co-op specifically, will be a part of Halo at launch going forward. And then to go from that to where we're at now, and then going from heads like Chris Lee to where we're at now, it just feels like from the very start, there was such little faith in 343 and Halo, at least from the perspective of the higher-ups, that they just figured, fuck it, we'll just give them whatever budget they need. Whatever problems they got, they can take care of themselves. If it turns out to be a mess, you know, so long as we're making enough back on these products, on these games, that's what matters. And they probably weren't making enough back on Infinite, and that's what led to her getting kicked. So I imagine that's just how everything came together once again. It's a shame when people lose their jobs. I'm not a fan of that, but at the same time, if you repeatedly fail to do what you're supposed to do, eventually something's gonna happen. And I've been saying for a while, when it comes to Halo, it was gonna reach a point where something was gonna happen. Something was going to give eventually. And that's finally what's happened. And sadly, it was necessary. But, you know, if you fail to do things right, that's the result of it. But yeah, I just think all in all, everyone who was in the position that they were in when it came to 343 up to this point were just not well equipped enough, or just not confident enough at the job, or just had too much to deal with and just didn't have proper chemistry. Because you look at 343 employees, and when they're talking about shit, you notice that there's just a noticeable lack of chemistry compared to, say, Bungie, for example, and those Vidocs that they did back in the day. It's just, there's a definite contrast. You can even look up Cropcap's video about that and see that the chemistry just wasn't there. And when you combine that with hiring people who don't even care for Halo or absolutely hate Halo, which that is well documented. You can look it up. It really does lead to everything just making so much sense. There's so many different factors at play, and it just all adds up to why everything has just been so poorly handled and incompetent up to this point. There just hasn't been enough synergy. There hasn't been enough of a care, there hasn't been enough focus, and there hasn't been enough faith or understanding of what makes Halo Halo. That's what it comes down to. The people in charge of this franchise for the longest time just simply didn't know what they were doing or care to know what they were doing, and most likely after failing to make billions of dollars with Infinite, which I still believe that free-to-play and live service was never part of the plan, which, I mean, what plan was there ever when it came to Halo and 343? If there was a plan, it got scrapped with Halo 4. That much is very clear, with the vision being completely different with every single game that they've put out since then. And even then, the games themselves don't have proper visions. So what does that tell you? And the fact that, again, this is Halo of all series. I think that this game, Infinite, was the third time's the charm, not in the sense of this being the ultimate comeback for the franchise, but the wake-up call that it's needed in regards to the handling of the franchise. And now the game can be what leads to Halo repairing itself, hopefully, and which, it's not going to be easy. This is going to be a multiple years long process to properly do, and I'm hoping that this can also lead to improvements in other Microsoft studios, because Microsoft for years now just does not seem to have it when it comes to exclusive games, and so many of their titles have been in development for who knows how long, and the only time their games come out is when it's something like Gears or Halo, Forza, and a few other exceptions, but so many of those games turn out to be half-baked or disappointed in some way, and I think that Microsoft gives their developers too much leeway. I think they went from not giving them enough leeway to too much leeway. I think they went from one extreme to another, and that led to things being a mess. I think that for Infinite, for example, they gave the game too much of a budget, weren't watching it enough, and that's what led to the whole thing being a fucking dumpster fire. I'm sure ever since the game's launched, and well before that, but especially now, shit's a total mess. I'm sure everyone's fucking panicking right now. And I'm hoping that they can really get it together, and hopefully the new head can get things together, because apparently, what's his name again? Let me see here. Pierre Hines, he's the one who's responsible for why MCC is now in the state that it's in. So hopefully he can do the same with Infinite, and I'm an armchair developer here, but maybe they can find a way to port Infinite over to Unreal Engine 4, which I feel like that would take a lot of rebuilding from the ground up, and if the engine is really that fucking shocked at this point, is it even worth it? You know, might as well do the best they can with what they can work with, and then from there, whatever the next Halo game is, because I still don't feel like we're gonna see a proper 10-year plan with Infinite, which maybe we will, but if we do, it's gonna take some time to get to that proper point, okay? Which I know sounds crazy coming from me because of what I've been saying up to this point, but what I did also say up to this point is that My faith in Halo is gone so long as things don't change. So long as the higher-ups stay the way they are, I don't have faith. But now that that's changing, I do have hope when it comes to Halo again. I do have faith in this franchise once again. I do now see a potential good future for this franchise. I kept saying, again, I kept thinking there was going to be two extremes between this. Either it would fade into existence, or this would be the ultimate low point the franchise has needed to have the ultimate comeback, which it's going to take years to get there. And it's going to take, I'm sure with the state Infinite is in, years for us to get substantial content still. And if not Season 3, I think Season 4 is going to be the season where things will actually start coming together, maybe even Season 5. Ultimately, this shit is a game of patience. And in other words, now when it comes to other Halo, or just Halo YouTubers in general, having hope for the series, just know now I can empathize with you a lot more. And I still understand you. I understand you now more than ever because of where things are at, because of the shakeups, so hoping for nothing but the best. But we'll see what the future has in store. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out from here, because more than ever, things are up in the air. But again, this is not going to be some simple overnight process. This is going to take years. And winning back the trust of fans and people who aren't even fans of Halo, but just maybe someone looking to get into the series, with how things have been, getting them interested in once again. It's going to take a while, but you know, maybe they can do things right. Maybe Infinite can have a better end in the end of all this. And maybe whatever goes on with Halo outside of Infinite, there's a lot more potential there. I just hope that when it comes to whatever they do for the next game, they scrap this current engine, Slipspace, and instead just go over to Unreal Engine 4. Because Unreal Engine 4, developers can go from 4 to 5 once 5 comes out. Epic has already made that clear, so I feel like for the sake of simplicity and convenience and just making the jobs of these developers easier, which hopefully now they're actually going to hire instead of just fucking contracts, I'm really hoping for everyone's sake they do something like this. Which, again, I'm an armchair developer, but I feel like this is the best course of action. Make everyone's lives easier, work smarter, not harder. Phil Spencer, you're doing the right thing now, my guy. You're doing what should have been done! We need this! Please! I need this. I need this. Please. But that's all I wanted to say for this news discussion. It's been a while since we've done a news talk video like this, but it was time to once again. And that's all I wanted to say. What do you guys think of this? What are your thoughts on all these recent shakeups and reshufflings when it comes to Halo? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And with that being said, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. But until then, I'm out. Later.